Have a sip. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. This is our Life of Pikelet HQ kitchen and the designated Pikelet setup for all of his meals that I cook. So I'm going to run through what I add to Pikelet's herbs and spices. The first item, as you can see, is the reishi mushroom extract. I take 2 of these little capsules. The next thing I pick up is the cell stop. They also come in capsules. They're a mixture of all kinds of bits and bob ingredients, which include a lot of different mushrooms that have anti-cancer properties or supporting humans and animals with cancer. The next item I pick up is a specific dog product, which is Joint Pro. Again, it comes in capsules, and again, I usually take 1 of these, put it into our little beaker, and then I'll pick up the next dog specific item, which is the Osteofort. Pikelet had rickets when he was a puppy, and so I like to give him these joint and I guess osteo support tablets to help with potential adverse effects that his rickets as a puppy might have had. So I'll go through what these products are and why I add them to what I like to call Pikelet's herbs and spices. But for now, those are the items that are capsule only. Next, what I do is I separate 2 to 3 eggs. What I'm after is the egg yolk. Because I create Pikelet's cooked meals into what I call his burgers, as in burger patties, much like you would do with a human burger patty, is that you would mix in some egg yolks. So that's what I'm doing here. But yeah, so essentially what I'm doing is I'm getting all the prep work done. So once I have Pikelet's herbs and spices mix and all the items I want in that, and then I have his egg yolks ready, I mix it with the raw meat. As you can see, yep, egg yolk there. And then I make them into balls so that they can be fried up in the frying pan, like burger patties essentially. And it's a really good way for me to get my dog, who is somewhat of a fussy eater and who is used to feeding, having a raw fed balanced meal. So a balanced raw meal, which contains of organ meat, muscle meat, and bone. Yeah, that's plain old seaweed. So you can get fresh like seaweed like this, as long as it's like no extra flavoring or salt or anything like this. I get this from a lot of the Asian supermarkets, or Pikelet's other parent gets that for him. And I like to chop this up really finely. You can buy seaweed powder, which I also have now since filming this video a couple of months ago. I alternate between this seaweed and like the dried seaweed we see here that I'm cutting up into really small pieces because that's going to be mixed in with his patty, to a actual product which is for dogs, which is a seaweed, sort of ground up seaweed powder. So as I was saying, I kind of do this in steps. So obviously the egg yolk, it's ready to go when I'm ready to go. I get all the items that are capsules, that come in capsules, like you can see there in the beaker. Eventually what I'll do is I'll pull those little capsules apart and pour out each of those fillings into the complete mixture. But yeah, as you can see, I'm doing the seaweed, cutting that up. The egg yolk is not in there yet. It's really up to how I'm feeling, whether I put the meat in the bowl first and then mix up the egg yolk and then the herbs and spices that I do, or whether I put the herbs and spices in first, then mix that up with the raw meat. I differ from day to day. So far we've got, like I said, all the capsule things, and next what I will probably do, oh yeah, here I go. I'm going to empty those one by one. So this might be a really good time to talk about what those items are. So the first one that we saw was the reishi mushroom. So reishi mushrooms for humans and animals, it's the kind of mushroom that offers like a range of potential health benefits. It can support the immune system, reduce inflammation, promote relaxation, improve sleep, and manage stress and anxiety. It also can promote heart health and offer some antioxidant properties. So that's a little on the reishi mushrooms. Next, I'll talk about the Cell Stop, which is a really interesting product. So I found Cell Stop by doing a little bit of research and reading what humans had said worked really well for them. And I found it on Amazon, and basically what Amazon says, it's a powerful cell division support. The property blend of natural ingredients including reishi mushroom, turkey tail mushroom, and a whole bunch of other things, as well as the capsules of veggie. It has about 17 ingredients in the little tablet, and it claims to be backed by 30 years of research, so that's great. So what I'm showing now is a puppy probiotic. Probiotics, when it comes to cancer support, it's basically, it helps with healthy digestive system, and it can be used like with managing diarrhea and upset tummies. And it can also help with anti-inflammatory properties. It's not super high up in the must-have for, I guess, fighting cancer, but I like to use it. And then there's tripe powder. Now, tripe powder for dogs is fantastic regardless of whether they're fighting health problems. It's just a really great meal topper. And obviously tripe, being a organ inside an animal, it's very species appropriate for dogs to have this, and I really love adding this, even though I know in the balanced raw mix that we get has good organ meats. I like to add a little bit extra. So the next thing I pick up is turkey tail, and even though Cell Stop has turkey tail in it, turkey tail is a fantastic mushroom support, and I don't think you can add too much turkey tail personally. And basically what the internet says about turkey tail is that it boosts immunity, gut health, reduces inflammation, and it enhances the efficiency of standard cancer treatments like chemotherapy, which is what Pikey's gone through at the moment. So you can see I'm adding turmeric. A lot of people already feed their dogs turmeric. And the next thing that I pick up is it's the Broth Life Organic, and it's liver powder. So essentially it's just a powdered form of pure liver or dehydrated liver. There you go. So back onto turmeric, there are some studies that suggest that turmeric has a variety of health benefits, including fighting cancer cells. However, mostly we give it to dogs as a bit of a pain reliever. So it can relieve the cause of the pain, the inflammation, and thereby removing the need for a pain response and helping the body to begin with healing. So that's why we use turmeric. So I use liver, or I add liver dehydrated, because it's packed with iron, vitamin A, B12 and folate, which are essential for dogs. Also by the same product, Broth of Life, I purchase and add in some bone broth powder. So this is pre-mixing, so I don't mix it all up into a bone broth per se. I just add the powdered form, which is all those ingredients I just pointed to, into the mix. And the reason why I do this with bone broth is that, much like the liver powder, it's packed with minerals that are really good for canine nutrition. They include magnesium, calcium, sulfur, silicon, and phosphorus. They play a crucial role to the nervous system, heart health, muscle contractions, sleep, and hydration. And then some hemp seed. And this can be any brand that I'm aware of. This is just pure hemp seeds. And the reason why I add these is because it gives the extra omega-6 fatty acids balance into Pikey's meals. They have a ton of benefits like cancer prevention and reduced joint pain. And it's a complete protein source as well, which means it has the amino acids essential for a balanced diet, even for humans. Okay, so this next one, it's a bulk supplement. You can't actually see what the supplement is there until I show you. Astragalus extract. This, I believe, comes from a type of flower. I might be wrong, but essentially there are some studies that show it has anti-tumor properties and can help the prevention of the spread of cancer cells throughout the body. It's not a high priority support for dogs with cancer, according to the Dog Cancer Survival Guide. But after speaking with Pikey's oncologist just about natural stuff that can and cannot affect his chemo treatment, I've decided to add this as part of his herbs and spices. Now, the next product was introduced to me by one of my previous adoptive parents. It's the Wellbeing Dogs Wellbeing Essentials Complete 22. And this is a complete blend of a bunch of ingredients. Hence the 22 part of the name of the brand. I'm just showing you some cheese and all the bits and bobs that I've added to the herbs and spices and our little setup here and all the extra bits that I keep. You can see we have treats up there. We have rose hip, which I also add usually last. I sprinkle that on top. We have Pikelet's medicine compartment here. This is where we have some Lactaid, which is you add to water. That's to keep dogs hydrated. We've got prednisone in there. We've got some anti-nausea medication for when he has to have at-home chemotherapy. Again, some more anti-nausea. And, I think we have some CBD oil in there that there's some doggy CBD oil, which I'll go into a little bit later, but this is a brand that, again, one of Pikelet's aunties in Sydney has some contacts in America, and we were able to get this product straight from America. That's actually a human grade CBD oil, but it also works really well for Pikelet. And I might give him a couple of drops of that on his tongue if he's having a sort of off day. He doesn't have many of those, hasn't had many of those since he started chemotherapy. So this is the mix of all of the meat, all of the herbs and spices, and the seaweed all combined. And as you can see, I am getting the spray coconut oil. Sometimes I spray it into the pan, and sometimes I actually get a dollop of coconut oil and melt it down. But essentially, it's like you're cooking beef patties at home for hamburgers for yourself. So a nice clean pan, oil it up, but I don't like to add anything other than coconut oil, which is, it's canine appropriate. And so I might just go back to the product we were talking about, the Wellbeings for Dogs, the Essential Complete 22. So this was sent to me by a previous adopter who finds it really helps with the health of her dogs. As you can see while I'm talking, I put gloves on and I start to grab a bit of the mince, and usually what I've started doing now is I actually pre-roll up these big balls of meat into patties rather than just grabbing a dollop like that and pushing it down. I have a much more refined technique now. This was filmed months ago. So anyway, so back to the 22 whole foods, the essential mix. They say that they've got micronutrients, essential vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids, antioxidants, and prebiotics for gut health. And basically it says 100% guarantee for your dogs, will love it, or your money back. And honestly, we mix this in every single meal, and Pikelet does really love it. So it has outstanding customer reviews, and I will definitely be continuing that portion of his meals. So back to the little patties here, we have mixed in, as I said, are his herbs and spices, the egg yolk, the seaweed, and this is really tailored for Pikelet being an older dog, and me understanding that he did have rickets when he was much younger. I was warned by a lot of the vets when I was fostering him, before I adopted him with his severe rickets, that he would probably have arthritis or joint problems when he was older. I've kept him on the OsteoThought and the Joint Pro. I've had him on that for a couple of years, and he's been fed a raw diet for many years now. And by balanced raw diet, and I sort of touched on this earlier, but that's a breakdown of 80% muscle meat, 10% organ meat, and 10% non-weight bearing bones. So what that means is that the bones that are crushed and mixed into his raw food don't come from leg bones or anything that would be a weight bearing bone. And the reason for that is that it can be problematic with the digestive system. And we get all of the different proteins. So I believe this was a mixture of turkey and beef, and that also includes the breakdown of muscle meat, organ meat, and bone. And then there's veggies and fruits that are also added in, and that's added in from the place that we purchased that, which is called Barking Good, and that's down in Melbourne. Now, because these are burger patties, and because Pikelet eats these for both breakfast and dinner, I really was struggling to try and convince him to eat them every single day. So rather than give him 4 huge slices of cheese, I break it down into 4 little squares of cheese. Or you might have remembered in the start of the video when I was cooking his meal last night, before I'm recording this voiceover today, there's some duck bone broth that I sometimes also get from Barking Good. And yeah, what I was about to say is that I cut his cheese into triangles rather than squares last night. I just mix it up a little bit because I get it becomes a bit monotonous cooking this every day for him. I usually do 1 batch, and I usually cook it at nighttime, so his breakfast is ready to go for the next morning. So yeah, when I do have this bone broth from Barking Good, I place it in the bottom here so that when his burger patties go on, it sort of melts it down for him. And it's just like an extra, instead of adding something like gravy, adding some extra bone broth is fantastic. And I don't know if I touched on it before, but bone broth is something that is fantastic for humans who are having sort of dealing with sickness or immune compromised times in their life. So bone broth is fantastic. A lot of people have it every day. In some way, shape or form, Pikelet has bone broth in his meals. So as you can see, that's what his meals look like. And then he gets a really heavy topping of rosehip, Canine Vital, which I've been feeding for many years for all the dogs. It's really good with skin allergies, with bone condition. It's fantastic. And I don't know if it has electrolyte properties, but I like to think that it does. I'm pretty sure I've been told in the past that it does, but this is just a fantastic product for any dog, and Pikelet loves the taste of it, so he has no problem with it being sprinkled. You can see there's some little molds there. If I get the time, I sometimes do like a bone broth rosehip mold and I will add them to the top of his meal just to mix it up. Sometimes I don't have a lot of time though. So this is what his bowl looks like. We're actually down to 2 patties morning and night rather than 3. I was finding like it was too much. So again, this is what our kitchen looks like. We have all the bowls. This is my setup here. I have a lot of empty sterile bottles because I feed baby deer. We have 2 little fawns that, 2 rescue fawns that have come to us in December this year, and they get fed. So yeah, I'm just going through the setup again. And like I mentioned earlier, we have this little, I've done all this research and I looked at all these alternative methods for treating cancer, like naturally, and mistletoe was mentioned, and all these jars here. But these are the things that I've looked up that I've chosen not to really go with. So they just sort of sit in that bowl there. Extra things in here, I've got an extra packet of turkey tail, just a different brand from the one I normally use. This is dog safe peanut butter. No added sugar. It's literally just the peanuts, and they're roasted and then made into peanut butter. There's nothing else added. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend this brand. I don't know if it's a Melbourne brand or not. And then also Pikelet gets fish oil every day. He gets triple strength human grade fish oil. I give him 1 tablet, 1 big capsule, and his prednisone in the mornings. I don't really use castor oil for Pikelet, but I do use it as a topical thing for Patty Cakes, his brother. Omega oil, I also add this when I can remember to his meals. Black seed oil, I actually don't use this for Pikelet at all, but it is in his container area because I do use it as a topical thing on some of the other dogs. Then we've got this Kong peanut butter stuffing that was actually gifted to us during one of our purchases, and I actually use that to give him his chemo. Slippery elm, again, I sometimes use this. It's not a high priority thing to use, particularly if you're feeding probiotics. It helps on the tummy, but I have it there. And this is what I'm doing as I'm still cooking, or I'm about to give Pikelet his food. I give some to his foster, or actually now forever sister Panadol, who you just saw. She's a little Staffy, and she gets the balanced raw fed and some sprinkles of his cooked food. And this is me asking Pikelet to sit, and this is his dinner for the night. I believe he hadn't had breakfast that day, which is why it's so big. Normally I would not feed him this amount each meal because, or even like, yeah, each meal, but over a day, this is an okay amount of food. He's actually got a pretty bloated belly since he's been on the prednisone. But yeah, this is what he's like. It's a little bit hot. Sometimes I'll have put it in the fridge. Actually, most nights I'll put it in the fridge after I've cooked it, just to let it cool down. He sits there and barks at me most nights. He waits and waits and waits by the kitchen baby gate. And often I'll feed Panadol and his little sister Myrtle, the Chihuahua, while I'm cooking, so he is very impatient by the time I've gotten his food out of the fridge. And so this is a little bit of a fast forward. Sometimes I do have to really coax him to eat because he does get a bit sick of the food. So hand feeding is always a win. Sometimes he's a bit too full. In this case, I did overfeed him that day. But since we filmed this video, we've really started to perfect our portion size and how we make the patties. So they're a lot more gourmet, I guess. Nothing's changed when it comes to all the things that we add. But yeah, this is basically the end of our video. It's just showing the duck bone broth sort of melted with the last little crumbs of food. Sometimes I need to, I let Panadol, his little sister, come out and sort of come near the bowl. It really encourages Pikelet to finish off even when he's full. I do worry that he's going to miss some parts of the herbs and spices that I've added if I don't get him to finish. So he might, if Panadol's nearby, he might give her a little toothy warning. Yep, there he goes, just to say, back off, this is my bowl. And Panadol is a special needs little English Staffy herself. She's very respectful of her big brother Pikelet. And so after every meal, Pikelet does usually find himself quite thirsty. So all of the bowls in our house, all of the dog bowls are filled up with filtered water. And this is something that is said is best for the in the dog cancer survival guide book. So that's what I've been doing. Okay, so this last part is not really part of Pikelet's feeding, but I thought it might be interesting for those people who are potentially looking at going through chemotherapy with some of their dogs. There are injectable chemotherapy components to Pikelet's protocol, but during the last 6 weeks, we have been doing this at home, 2 tablets a night of chemo. So he gets this every day. And what this is, it's a particular tablet that his oncologist has prescribed and given to us. It has to stay in the fridge. It can't be broken in half. It can't be crumbly. And you have to wear gloves. Apparently it's highly toxic for humans. And so to get it down Pikelet's throat, rather than shoving it down or putting it in hot food and making it sort of compromised, I use that Kong peanut butter paste, or peanut butter is fine. And I sort of get it in that little ball of peanut butter, and Pikelet absolutely loves this. He was on this protocol of this particular chemo for 6 weeks, and he's only just come off that. Just a couple of days ago, he had a different protocol while at the vet, but he might go back to this. So that's the end of our video. Thank you for watching and being patient. I've jumped around a little bit, but if you want more videos like this, let me know.